We have a real treat for you today. We're going to look at this very interesting instrument called the theremin, named for a Russian inventor named Leon Theremin. He was instrumental in helping pioneer the early electronic music landscape. When electricity became more widespread, people started experimenting a lot more. He invented this instrument in the 1920s, and he went on a world tour in 1927 and ended up in New York City. And he actually stayed there for 11 years because he found a good audience there. So much so that the Radio Corporation of America, RCA, invested quite heavily in the development of the theremin, and then the stock market crashed. That didn't work out so well for him. But he stayed there until 1936, and then when he went back to Russia, he went to work for the KGB. So not only did he invent musical instruments, he also created a really useful drum machine. He created a highly successful burglar alarm. He created an electromechanical television much earlier than his American counterparts and the Italians. And he even created a nice eavesdropping device for the Soviets. They implanted it in a Great Seal of the United States, which was hanging in the London Embassy for quite some time. Who knows how many secrets they heard. Pretty interesting. There's a TV show that was on in 2012 called Dark Matters, Twisted but True, and it features an episode on the story of Leon Theremin. I need to find that somewhere on the internet and watch it myself. It sounds very interesting. The theremin is a very unique instrument because it requires no physical contact. You don't actually touch anything. It creates an electrical field between the two metal. There's like a metal loop on the bottom and a wire on the top, and there's a field created like an XY axis. And depending on where you put your hand, the sound goes up or down. And it's said to sound most like the human voice. That's how it's most closely associated. There were a lot of electronic instruments on the market after World War II. And the reason the theremin never really caught on that well is just because it's too stinking hard to play. It's very difficult to be very accurate. That being said, there was still quite an interest in it, and there was a young future music pioneer who began selling build-your-own theremin kits while he was still in high school, and that was none other than Robert Moog. You remember we looked at the Moog synthesizer last time, and yeah, that was his high school job. He sold these little kits, and I would be a little leery, like maybe you get electrocuted if you do something wrong, but I don't know. So we are going to listen to the undisputed champion of the theremin. Her name was Clara Rockmore. It was a humongous success in the 1930s. And this is probably her most famous recording. It's from the Carnival of the Animals by Camille Saint-Saëns, and this is her version of the Swan. quite a unique instrument. I really like it. I want one. That would be a lot of fun. Okay, next up, the octopad. This revolutionized pop music in the 1980s. We will dive into this one next time. See you then. Bye bye.